What's up, everybody? How are you? It's your boy Bill Foster in the check-in. My man Richard Williams with me. I apologize for the delay. I was running around trying to do everything. I'll tell you about that in a second. Um, First and foremost, let me just say this: when you're dealing customer service, do not keep going back and forth with the client. You know what I'm saying? Just if you apologize for something, just say I'm sorry and keep it pushing. Don't keep talking about oh, um, excuses. Excuses, knock it off. Because the bottom line, I'm spending my money, so let's make it happen. With that being said, and saying all that, this is Real Talk Chronicles. I'm host Bill Forster. We got a lot to talk about. Shout out to all the sponsors: Deadly Arts of Survival Magazine, uh, Ingram Taxes, Melba's Chocolat, Row House, of course, can't forget that. Soft Illusions Art Gallery, and anybody else that is supporting us and part of the city. I'm host Bill Forster. So we got a lot going on in the news. We haven't been here in a minute. We got tariffs. Hey, Stefania. We got tariffs to talk about. Mayor is running independent. We got individuals that should have not been deported. China's not having it.
Helicopters falling out the sky
at an alarming rate. With that, Rich, how are you, brother? Let me find out how my man Rich is doing.
Oh man, I'm putting up with it.
So, Rich, what's your take? Let's start with the. It's a tragedy with these helicopters. We can go that way first. It's a tragedies with these helicopters. What's your take on that, man?
Yo, man, I don't even have a clue because it's not just helicopters, it's airplanes. It's the whole aviation community, you know. People laugh at me when I say I don't like to fly. I mean, I've flown, but I'd rather walk than fly. But
Yeah.
if I have to, I fly. People say, "Oh, it's safer to fly." I'm like, "Yeah, okay," but I mean, guess some people say I'm a control freak because I got to control the car. I got to control. Okay, it is what it is. But when shit like this happens, it just reinforces my concerns about flying. Like that helicopter that went down in the Hudson, the propeller came off.
Yeah. What's that about, right? Yeah.
Yeah. What is that? They said that that guy was used to be a Navy SEAL, black dude. You know.
Yeah. He was 36 years old, and
Yeah.
he was a former Navy person. So he had the
Yeah.
experience. He had the hours. The only thing that he didn't have a certain amount of hours in that helicopter per se, but I guess that was like a tourist kind of thing. But he had helicopter experience, so we
Yeah.
can't
But
knock that.
that was clearly the fault of the airplane, not him. The video
Mhm.
showed the propeller came off.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
that's a malfunction. Yes.
Yeah. And then these planes dropping out the sky. It's a lot of catastrophes going on. Even the thing
Yeah.
in DR where that nightclub, the whole ceiling fell out.
Yeah.
Killed all those people.
I'm glad you mentioned that because we haven't been here for a couple of weeks, and our prayers go to the families of all those that have suffered loss in that horrific situation, or people that are connected some way somehow to those individuals, because a lot of people don't understand when one tragedy happens, it affects a multitude of people. It's a trickle down effect. Hey Joyce, what's going on? Um, so yeah, our prayers are definitely with the Dominican community and DR. Uh, with all respect for that.
Yeah, it's not
Um,
much you could say, but your condolences when there are lost loved ones involved. I mean, it's not much to say. You have your condolences. I mean, if there's anything that can be done, I wish it will be done. You know, to prevent anything like that from ever happening again. You know, and that's crazy because I have friends that are from DR, that told me they used to be in that club when they ever went to DR. You know, so it's a well-known club. It's not like a hole in the wall.
No, no,
You
yeah,
know,
it's a very reputable club. Yeah,
yeah. So that's something that's really got to be looked at, man. For the whole roof to fall in, something ain't right with that.
yeah.
But that's not going to bring any loved ones back. You know, that conversation right there. But you know, they need to look into that.
Wow. I'm gonna put something up. Hold on. Let me put this up first. Stefania says China is spilling all the tea on designer goods. LOL. This tariff war is revealing. Yes, it is. We're gonna get to that. Hold on. But Tony Willis said this. She said, that was his fault. All pilots have to check wiper blades, including rotor blades for the aircraft. So let me ask you a question, Tony. When you saying that, I'm not disputing it. I don't know. You may have more knowledge than I do, and I'm assuming for you to say that you do. But when you say check it, like I give you a perfect example. When I used to drive the bus, we had to do an inspection of the bus, with the panels and everything like that. But we're doing the exterior with the police cars. When I do a police officer, we have to do a check of the police cars. We have to do the exterior. I don't go under the hoods. I don't check the bolts or the tires and stuff like that. So if you can you elaborate when you said including rotor blades for the aircraft? If you can. I don't know if you can, and you're not. Maybe, like I said, you may be more knowledgeable than Richard and myself are in regards to that. But for you to say that it's his fault, you said to check wiper blades, including rotor blades for the air. The rotor blades are all the way in the back. So, I mean, if they looked connected, I don't know. I mean, that's
Yeah, you saying wiper blades? Wiper blades is, you know, the windshield wiping blades on.
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
how do you? I mean, this guy, according to the report, that was his eighth trip of the day.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he was on that helicopter all day, and I guess the eighth one, you know, because I think that happened about 3 o'clock, right?
Yeah.
So he had 8 trips in one day from whatever time he came on to about 3 o'clock, you
Mm-hmm.
know. And for him to have that many trips, it sounds like the helicopter port was pretty booked for him to be. And I don't know how it travels. I mean, is it going around Manhattan? I mean,
Yeah. I have no
I don't
idea.
know all of that, but I mean, he's been riding that copter all day. So if he got in it initially, I guess he checked it. But I mean, we all know, if anybody that has a car knows shit happens.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
you can just come from getting your car serviced. You know, hit the road and all of a sudden, ping, 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 something going crazy.
Trust me. I just know.
Yeah. So I
Okay.
mean,
Hold on. Let me say. So, hey, Tony. Thank you for chiming in. Appreciate you. She said, "Hi, it's just a simple checkpoint, right? Pilots have to go on the plane to check wiper blades. Okay. I mean, I guess I'm understanding that you're talking about just checkpoints. You know, like just like like renting a car. You go, you look at it. I mean, I don't know how extensive we're talking about checking. So I guess that's why. Only reason why I'm questioning and asking is because you said it was his fault.
yeah, exactly. You know,
Okay,
that's a
that's otherwise than
that's a
that,
big
I'm
stretch.
not I'm not disputing anything that you're saying by no means. I don't want you to think I'm disputing what you're saying. I'm just saying that because 5 lives were lost, but well, six lives were lost, to the husband and the wife and the 3 kids and the pilot, you know, you put it out there like that. So that's the only reason why I asked you. You, like I said, you may know more than me, and please educate me, enlighten me, because
Is Tony a pilot?
I had to know. No, I don't know. I don't know. She says for a helicopter, you reverse spin the rotor after every landing. Okay, so see, that might be something you know. Yeah, like I said, I unbeknown to me, and I don't know if Rich knew that. Like you said, you reverse spin. Okay,
Okay,
so you have
but I
knowledge of
mean,
it. And
does
maybe,
that
like you said,
mean
go ahead, Rich.
does that really mean that it's his fault? I mean, I don't think the brother went up there knowingly that the blade was going to fly off. You know,
Right, right.
I mean, I don't know. You know, I'm not a
Well,
pilot.
yeah,
You know, and listening to what they're saying on the news, it didn't sound like it was his fault. You know,
yeah. I have no
but I
idea.
guess if Tony's a pilot, for him to say it was his fault, he knows more than we know.
No, she.
Oh, she rather.
Yeah. So, so I say all that to say that maybe, like I said, maybe she has experience in this field and stuff like that, which makes a lot of sense. All right. Oh, well, like I said, our prayers and our condolences go to the families of those individuals. Um, of course not. No dispute. No, no two pilots in the family. Got you. Okay, so she's speaking from knowing of people in the family. Okay, I respect that. So
All
let's
right, but
go
listen,
on.
let's take blame. Let's take the blame off the brother until we got some facts. All right.
so let's talk about the mayor real quick. We'll dive into him real quick. He's running independent. Smart move. I mean, a smart move. I'll say it personally. Smart move because he wasn't winning the Democratic Party primary. So to go independent was kind of a no-brainer in a sense. Now, does that mean he'll get reelected? I think he's hey, what's up, more um I don't know if he still has the pulse of the people, I should say. Everybody knows Eric is my man, so I'm not saying anything I wouldn't say to him face to face or personally. Um, I don't know if he still has the pulse for the people. So I guess time will tell. We see how the Democratic Party is laid out right now. We all know we can't say New York is basically a Democratic city. It kind of is. I mean, Bloomberg got in there, and then Giuliani got in there. But after that, what's your thoughts, Rich?
Well, like you, Eric is my man too. You know, and people ask me questions about it. I say, the Democratic, the people that are running against him and speaking against him, they didn't support him when he ran for mayor.
Right.
Not one incumbent got behind that man, and he was able to get the people to vote for him without them. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so now that he's in some kind of trouble with the law, right? And some of the people in his administration have resigned based on whatever, shit they got in, you know, they all jumping on the bandwagon to throw him out. Now, I could be wrong, but usually when uh, a Democrat or a Republican is seated in the office, they get behind him, right? So he doesn't have to run in the primary. But then you do have cases where people try to run against him. But in his case, everybody's jumping on board to run against him. Just like when he first ran, everybody was running. So for him to stay in the Democratic Party, he's got to go through debates with other Democrats. So what he's
Absolutely.
doing is going independent and let them clear out their house of who they want to, who they're going to pick to run. And then he runs against them,
Yeah.
which makes all the sense in the world. Because at the end of the day, for me, it's what the people want. It's not what, other elected officials are pushing in their agenda. You know,
Right.
everybody has their opinion, and every politician really is supposed to represent what the needs of the people are. You're voted
Mhm.
in the office based on your platform, and people get behind what their interests are, and if your interests match their interests, they get behind that. A lot of times people get in office and they don't do that. They get
Yeah.
in there and then they want to do what they think is right or
Mm-hmm.
what their opinion is. You know, they might look at their emails or what have you and see what the constituents are emailing them and asking them to do, but they don't always necessarily do what the majority of those emails tell them to do. You know,
Yeah,
they do whatever they think should be done.
yeah. Safani said, honestly speaking, I don't think he'll win. It appears that Cuomo is the front runner. I've heard that. I see that. The polls say that. Shout out to my girl, my sister girl Pearl, but she says I think Eric was a decent mayor. He had too many people around him that blurred the vision. I agree with that. When a lot of your administration resigns, or some of them now are in fear of getting indicted or dealing with the judicial system, it's problematic. Like, shame on the people that this is where you got to say, was it his fault? He put him in there, or shame on the people that didn't have loyalty? Because trust me and believe, if I'm the mayor and I put Rich in there, yeah, some of the onus comes on me, but behind the scenes, I'm gonna holler at my man, like, yo, dog, how'd you let me down? I thought you was built for that. You know what I'm saying, Rich? Like everybody has to move on eggshells. You can't do what other people think you can do. You really can. I don't want to say what I really wanted to say. It's real talk, but I think you can read between the lines. You can't do what other people do. You know what I'm trying to say?
Hey, Bill, let me say this, man.
Go ahead.
People right now jumping behind Cuomo, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because, some people right now feeling like, oh, Cuomo was the guy to put in office. That's the same guy, right? That had allegations of.
Moya just said. She said, "What's your take on Cuomo running?" So you're
yeah, but listen. This is the same guy that was accused of sexual harassment,
mm-hmm.
and folded under the pressure of the allegations and resigned.
Yeah.
Right? And everybody was doing to him what they doing to Adams. And Adams stayed in his office, said he wasn't going nowhere because it was false allegations, right?
Yes.
But your boy Cuomo pulled a parachute out and jumped out the window.
Yeah, and I think he's still dealing with some legalities with that too.
Yes, he is.
Yes,
but people got a tendency to forget. A lot of times people like these handsome white guys, and they fall in love with them. Like back in the day when Kennedy was president, all the black people, even to this day, had that John Kennedy picture of John Kennedy, Martin Luther King, and Robert Kennedy. Robert Kennedy. No, it was Robert.
Bobby and Robert.
Robert. On their walls. But in all reality, John Kennedy didn't do shit for black folks.
Yeah.
It was his vice president, Lyndon Johnson, that went into office and did all of that shit, passed these different laws for black folks.
Yeah.
Because John Kennedy didn't give a fuck about us.
Right.
But we're in love. Our parents, mostly the women, loved them some John Kennedy, right? And they loved them some Andrew Cuomo.
Yeah.
But when they hit him with that sexual charge, they backed away from him.
Well,
he said, "Let me drop out of public sight and come back later."
Yeah.
When these black folks forget about it.
Well, let's what I think what happened during the pandemic, what put Cuomo in the forefront, and where everybody was like, "Oh my God, he's the man," was the way he articulated what he was doing during the pandemic. So I think it was just so structured that it just seemed that he was on point in the way he was articulating himself and things of that magnitude. The bottom line is the pandemic was, everybody shut down. But I just, if all you out there that's listening, correct me if I'm wrong and tell me how you feel. It was just when he was presenting himself during the pandemic, he was articulating himself and just on a point of so much leadership that you looked at him like, oh, he's the next coming for the presidency, because he was just handling it. I mean, let's keep it real.
Well, you know what it was though? Nah, Bill, you know what it was? We had that asshole that we got in office right now in office and he was handling his shit fucked up, you
Right,
know.
right, right, right,
And
right.
he was looking such like a buffoon that anybody that went against him, we was cheering on. Now, if you really think about it, everybody was trying to, and Cuomo mainly was talking about those what do you call those things they was throwing down people's throats, respirators,
Right, right, right.
right? Oh, how we got to get these, and everybody was like, yeah, yeah, we got to get those, and Cuomo was pushing for us to get those, and then we found out later that's the shit that was killing everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody that had that tube stuck down their throat, they basically was a rat, you know. And then he was sending people that were elderly back, well, people that were in nursing homes back inside of the nursing homes that were diagnosed with COVID,
Yeah.
and they spread it with inside the nursing homes.
Yeah.
So he took a lot of heat for that too.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, now I'm not blaming COVID on him, but we were looking at him as like this shining knight that was jumping out there ahead of COVID. But a lot of people didn't know what the fuck was going on with COVID. It was his job to really know. We were all blaming it on Trump, you know, because he was sitting up there looking like a fool, talking about take fucking bleach and, you know, injecting yourself with bleach and all this dumb shit.
And he was in such denial with it too. He was just like, all right,
Exactly,
yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
But COVID, like even right now, you know, we were like hemmed up with that COVID shit.
yeah, right,
And
right,
right now, you don't even really hear too much about COVID. Somebody say, "Oh, I had COVID." It's like, "Oh, I had a cold."
yeah.
You
Well,
know?
I had the doctor was going to be on, and what the doctors were been telling me is that shout out to Dr. Coder and shout out to Dr. Mack. They're still with us on the second and the fourth Saturday. Saturdays. I'm thinking about Roadhouse now. The second and the fourth Mondays of the month. That COVID is still here, but everything else is just kind of jumped in. You know, it's like a fad. Like RSV is here now, and the flu and the pneumonia and all these things are
But
still
that's exactly
prevalent.
my point. The COVID was here, and it's still here, but it wasn't
Yeah,
anything that Cuomo did that that brought it to what it is now. You
yeah,
know,
yeah,
but he's getting a lot of credit. But at the same time, he should take a lot of the blame of some of the mishaps that went inside the medical community. I mean,
yeah,
all these officials, we put them in office, we vote them in to be the voice of us, right? And it's their job to look and find out the truth in all of this shit, not just jump on the bandwagon or something, or just make some, quick decisions, you know.
yeah.
We
Let me
need facts. You know
yeah.
what we always say, just the facts.
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody knows. That's what I feel like. Like Pearl had said earlier, I'm gonna read some comments. Everybody, this is Real Talk Chronicles. I'm your host, Bill Forster, with my co-host Richard Williams. Shout out to other panel that may be chiming in a little later. We only gonna be on to at 8 o'clock because Rich and I we got to watch the playoffs and get in that and make sure everything is tight. And with just everything going on, just trying to move in all these things. But shout out to everybody that's watching. So hold on. Pearlie said, I think Eric was a decent man. He had too many people around him that blurred the vision. Absolutely. Moya said, what's your take on Cuomo? Rich was talking about that. Pearlie said, everyone had their own agenda. I agree with that. She said, right. Let me go to some more of the comments right here. She said, Moya said, the problem is my view is that people in this administration made careless moves and not considering if their choices were worth it. Yeah, I mean, the bottom line is, how do you put people? I mean, a lot of us people of color, we got a black mayor. We got a black mayor that put in a black administration predominantly and a black and Latin administration. And it seemed like those are the ones that jammed them up, right? We have a president that in the past has put in his own administration, or he took the administration and felt that they weren't loyal to him. So now he has an administration. We're going to get on him too. I ain't finished with him. He has administration in there now that is loyal to him, and they'll say anything just to it's almost like watching 300, the movie. Percy is and all these people of power Like whatever he say, just do. Like he says, bow before my feet. And my little dog just came in here. Excuse me. So it's a whole deep rooted thing. So Stefania says, and then all of a sudden the charges were dropped due to lack of evidence. That was a setup to force him out. Yeah. I mean, like, you know, a lot of times when people start talking about charges against people, some of y'all, what's your thoughts? Como, like I said, I think he's still in litigation in court over being sued. I don't know what the stipulations are. I don't know where it's at. Eric's charges are dropped. When we talk about people getting sued for things and not getting sued for things, and then they get dropped. Some people, famous people, like they pay and there's no charges, right? But sometimes pain is admitting of guilt, some people say, and some people it's just like paying because I don't want to go through the legality of it. Your thoughts? So let's see what Stefania said. The charges drops, and then she talked about and get Kathy in. Yeah, Kathy came in. You know, what's your thoughts on her? Tony says, yeah, that was sad regarding the nursing home. Rich, she was talking and replying to what you were talking about, people getting sick with the nursing home. Moya also says, I think in hindsight, we can all say what he did wrong, but no one knows what they would have had did under the pressure. Yeah, you know, we got a lot going on with people. She said, we were guinea pigs when you know what's so funny. There's still people that say take the vaccine, don't take the vaccine. Is it unfair? This is unfair. I don't know. I tell people all the time, you did what you had to do. I was one, for transparency reasons, I did take it. I have underlying conditions, so I wasn't trying to take that chance. Yeah, I can take all the other organic and holistic stuff, but it is what it is. I'm gonna do what I got to do.
Exactly.
Said, hold on. In all fairness, he was being guided by Trump and Dr. Fauci. Yeah, she's talking about Cuomo. We was talking about that. He said there was no information that were telling these things as the days went on. Yep. What's up, brother D? Thank you. We're gonna move on now. Let's okay. We could talk about real quick, and I say that respectfully. For those, did you see about the autistic man, 17 years old, and rest and prayers out to I forgot the city that just had a shooting, and it was a year ago. Was it Texas or something? A year ago, they had a shooting there, and they just had a shooting there yesterday, the other day.
Oh yeah, the same school.
Same school. So sending prayers out to that city and state and that school. How crazy is that? Like, wow,
hey, Bill.
Yes.
But you know what I want to touch on real quick?
Sure.
You know, before I forget, the fact that this president has the right now to grab people up and take them out of the country, right?
Yeah.
And he went in there and he grabbed all these so-called illegal immigrants and all of that, and transported them out of the country back to Venezuela or wherever the hell he went. But then he snatched some people up that they knew wasn't supposed to go, right? They just wanted them to go with them, right? And now he's got caught on the mic, on a hot mic, talking about how he wants to now send American citizens, right, out of the country. So, I mean, the shit this guy is talking about, and any of these so-called Trumpers or people that's getting behind what this dude is doing, they all get behind him because they don't see themselves as being a victim of his shit.
Yeah, well, you know what's so funny? Let's keep it a buck. I've said this. A lot of people that all this. He ran his campaign on scare tactics, right? You talked about the migrants committing crimes and stuff like that. When we start looking at the statistics, you don't see migrants committing more crimes than Americans, right? We got more Americans committing crimes against Americans than we had migrants committing. So,
and not only just Americans, white Americans.
Absolutely, absolutely. So
Overwhelmingly, more white people commit crimes than any nationality in this country,
absolutely.
and their
So
name is not mentioned at all.
no, no. So I say all that to say that when we start looking at that, so that's the fear mongrel, right? It's like don't go outside. Like with the kids, parents used to say, you know, you turn out the lights. Oh, I'm scared of the dog. Ooh, then you playing on my fears. So he played on the American fear. Now the people that he started deporting, only 2% of them had a record. So you were just deporting people that had not got their visas or their citizenship. Now he didn't deport the Europeans, that were here over work visas and stuff like that. He just started doing it with the Latin community. Shame on the Latin community that supported him, because now he started taking your people. Now you, I, and anybody else out here is probably listening. I'm sure we know, if you have a big, strong Latin friendship or following, or when I say following, I'm just saying a friend base, we probably do know someone that is just first generation American or U.S. citizen, and their parents, their mamas or grandmas are walking around in chancletas and in the house and things of that magnitude, still not speaking English, and they've been here 35, 40 years, right? So let's cut the BS, and now you just started deporting people, just getting rid of everybody, and shame on you for accepting that BS. You know what I'm trying to say? Like I don't get it. I really don't get that aspect of the game. Here we go. Now you got people over there. The biggest thing that's in the news right now, a young man that has no criminal record, that got deported to that jail in, what is it, Venezuela, right? He got put into that jail.
And we paid them Venezuela $6 million
$6 million.
to hold him.
Yep. Yeah.
And we're going to have to continue to pay them.
Yeah.
To house them.
And
Venezuela saying, because Trump saying, I don't have no control over that. The president of Venezuela got something to do with that. He said he ain't going to let him go. So the president of Venezuela said, nah, I wouldn't let him go. Why would I let him go? Shit, if you gave me $6 million to put a nigga in the back room of my and tell me not to let him go, he might stay in there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
For $6 million.
Yeah, but if you stop paying me, I'm going to say, take your problem back.
But think about it. And all the times that we've watched people go to the Oval Office, when have we seen Venezuela ever there, sitting there?
Never.
So go ahead. So go ahead. Go ahead.
They promising. He's on the low. He's making promises to him. He probably saying, come down to Venezuela. You can open up a golf course. Another Mar-a-Lago. This motherfucker is going. Excuse me, people. I'm going on that profanity thing again. So let me digress. Right. This guy, this orange guy, is talking about he wants to buy Greenland. He's talking about he wants to go over to the Gaza Strip and purchase that. And when he says we, he's trying to say the United States government,
but he
doesn't mean him. He means him and Musk and any of his rich friends. We're going to go over there and buy that property over in the Gaza Strip and turn it into beachfront property. And the Jewish community over there say, yeah, do that, because they know that they're going to get their money to help finance that shit. And they're going to have their hand in the till also, which is what they always wanted to do. And now they're going over into the colleges, Columbia, NYU, all of these major colleges, and telling them they want to control their curriculum. Determine who's an issue if they speaking against the Jewish community. This country is supposed to be a country where you have freedom of speech. I don't have to believe in what you believe in, And if I can sit down and express my point in an intelligent way, and like we say, just the facts, deal with the facts of what is actually happening over there, it's crazy. I mean, everybody's running around, and if you use the word anti-Semitic, you know, if you say anything that you disagree with the Jewish community about, you are labeled as a problem.
Yeah. Just
And that's
see what happened.
crazy.
You see what happened with the governor of Pennsylvania, Shapiro. The dude bombed his house, threw his house on fire. Everybody, this is Real Talk Chronicles. I'm Richard. That's Richard Williams. I'm Bill Foster. My bad. And this is Real Talk Chronicles. I'm just gonna read some comments out here. She said, "What do you think about the young black track star and stabbing in Texas?" I don't know. I don't remember that. Somebody please enlighten me, and we'll definitely discuss it. What's up, 06? Joyce, she said, yeah, he's certifiable. Stefania says, this tariff war is definitely of utmost concern. Absolutely. We're going to definitely get back on that. Let's see. What else does Sister Stefania say? She says, China has rung a bell that can't be unrung. I think this may change the profit margins of these luxury brands. Everybody, what's your thought process on the tariffs and what Trump is trying to do? Perry said the Latin community thought he wasn't going to come for them. Yeah, ha ha ha. Exactly. Sorry, Stefania, not Venezuela, El Salvador. My fault. Joyce said, okay, so they said that they were going to hold the Trump administration in contempt of court. If they do not return that young man at the end, they're not going to do a thing to do the clown administration. Yeah, what's so saddened by this. I'm saddened by this, and what's saddened, I can't get it out, is that the fact that you sitting there in a meeting like Rich and I was just talking about, and you're like, yo, if they say he can come back, we'll bring him back, the courts, then you turn the old girl and she's like, yo, he's a criminal, like he broke the law. And then they turn the old boy and he's like, well, why would I bring him back? So basically, he's not coming back.
See, but that's the part, Bill. And people, they're just blind to the fact of what this guy has done around his peripheral. He has placed Supreme Court judges in his camp, right? And other federal judges. But at the end of the day, he also secured his cabinet around him, because if you disobey the Supreme Court, who takes action? Yeah. The Department of Justice.
Yeah, right.
Who's in charge of the Department of Justice?
Yeah.
It's not supposed to be the president. They're supposed to operate by the law and do whatever the law says. But he puts people in these positions that are loyal to him. So absolutely, if he puts you in there, right, and the judge says, hey, he disrespected us, he broke the law, we gave him an order, he didn't follow it, you need to go and do X, Y, Z. He'll say, you bet not.
Yeah.
And that's not the way it's supposed to work, but that's how he has positioned himself to put all of the people that can actually do something to him. He got rid of all of them and put his own people in there on the premise that they're loyal to him. So anything that he does, he can get away with it.
Right.
And that's what people aren't paying attention to. This dude is changing the rules every day. He's breaking laws, constitutional laws, on the premise that as the president, he thinks he's a king, but as the president, he doesn't have to go through the different other parties of government that have equal power. Because he put people in these spots that are able to enforce that. They working for him.
Yeah.
They ain't working for the country. They're working for Donald Trump.
Yo, you know what it's like? It's like the celebrity that gets famous and he gets his childhood friends don't hang with him anymore because they talk back to him. but you got to get a flunkies around you that's going to yes you all the time. You know what I'm saying? Because you're paying them. Shout out to my man Mark. He said, "Yo, it's so jacked up. Everything he's doing is illegal. Defying law is a problem." Hey, AP, we're talking, and you and Moya. Are we talking about the young black guy that stabbed the white guy, and during the rain thing, the track? He was a track star, or it was at a
I know what she's talking about. It was at the stadium. The white dude stepped to him and told him to get out of his seat.
Yes, and he
said, "You ain't supposed to be sitting here."
Yes, yo. First and foremost, listen. Check this out. Now, what they're trying to do is depict that young man as a problem. That young man has like a 3.8 GPA, right? Like he's at a game, he's minding his business, and two brothers step to him. Right?
White brothers.
Two white brothers step to him. I think they're twins. Were they twins?
Yep.
Or just brothers or something?
Yep. I think they're twins. I think you're right.
And you gonna tell him to leave, break out.
That he's sitting in the wrong section.
So that's what we doing now. We like you so gun ho, you know.
It's like, yo, the colorful section is over there. You sitting in the wrong spot.
Yeah.
And he said, yo, don't put your hands on me.
Yo, if I tell you to leave me alone, right?
Yo, what's the guy's name that killed my man in Florida?
You talking about Zimmerman?
Zimmerman. Stand your ground.
Right.
That's what he got away on. Stand your ground.
So check this out now. Watch this, everybody. Yo, P, you a detective. You a former detective with me. Stay with me on this, right? Now let's dissect this. If I tell you to leave me alone, right? And you still woofing me, and I tell you it's going to be a problem if you keep woofing with me. I go in my bag. You watch me go in my bag, and I pull out a knife. And you come and lunge towards me, and I stab you. Is that my fault that you fell on the knife? You know what I'm saying? Because the bottom line is the knife. I can see if the boy stabbed him in the back, right? If I can respect the stab if they're fighting and they fall on the ground and he stabs in the back, but he got stabbed in the front. So that means you approach me. So you initiated the altercation. Now what's so funny is you trying to paint this young man as a problem. 5'9", 135 pounds. I think the brothers, they're like 6'2" or 6 something like that.
Big dudes, football playing type dudes.
Yeah. Let's keep it a buck, everybody. Yeah, keep your eye on the prize with this one. You know what I'm saying? We definitely got.
It's a tragic death any way you look at it.
Absolutely, nobody's saying death is warranted.
And I'm not saying but to dismiss what I said before. It's just that if somebody is trying to assault you, right?
Mm-hmm.
What are you supposed to do? Now, if he's not supposed to sit there, it's not their job to tell him that. I've been in situations where I go someplace, I got tickets for a seat. I don't even discuss it with them. I go to the usher. I said, listen, I got tickets for 4 and 5.
Yeah.
And they go over and have that discussion with them.
Mm-hmm.
Because it ain't going to turn out right. Me as a big black man stepping to somebody that's sitting in my seats that I paid for, right?
Absolutely.
So listen, I'm not even going to have that conversation with them because that's not my job. I bought these tickets from you. You gave them my seats, or they're occupying the wrong seats. So you need to go check that. Yep. Now that's what those two white guys were supposed to do if that was the case, right?
Yeah.
And I don't even know if that was the case.
But they weren't.
But what we do know,
a security aspect. I mean, that's security's job if he's taking. But
that's my point.
They're in bleachers. They're in the bleachers.
Exactly. But you know how you at a football game and you got people that here for the other team and they usually sit together,
mm-hmm.
right? So you cheering for the other team. So You don't want somebody sitting next to you that's cheering for the other team to the degree
Yeah.
you want to put hands on them and
Right.
physically move them. And we all know when we watching games or we involved with sports, we get hyped.
Absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely.
everybody's rooting for their team. Yeah, yeah, and all of that. You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you got somebody sitting next to you and they rooting for the other team, I've always been in environments like that where it's really kind of like fun dealing with somebody rooting for other team. You know, because we going back and forth at each other. Because at the end of the day, it's just a game.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want mine to win. You want yours to win. You know. So hey, I like the be able to go back and forth with the
Banter.
team.
You like the banter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Like and when you at the Garden or any other arena, it's the same shit.
Yeah.
You're gonna see people there for the other team.
Yeah, like P said, she brought up, my sister brought up a great point. She said we see it as self-defense, but why was he carrying a knife? That's a good question that the defense will try to bring up in court. And the bottom line is, I think Texas is different. I don't think there's any restrictions and laws. I think Texas.
Yeah, you can carry a gun in Texas, so
yeah,
you should carry a knife.
So
right?
So Pete, I think
so that's a carrying state.
Yeah. So
now, if he would have pulled the gun out and shot him, it would have been the same thing because it's a carrying state.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, I'm surprised the white guys didn't have guns and might have tried to shoot him for stabbing him. You know.
Well, yeah. I
and
think
if that would have happened, they would have got off. It wouldn't even been no conversation. They would say, "Yeah, black man stabs white guy shoots black guy. It's over."
Yeah. P said, hold on, what she said? She said originally he had $1 million bail, but another judge decreased it to $250,000 after all pleas and outcry. After all, yeah. Oh wow.
And then after he stabbed the kid, right, and they came and got him, he was concerned for the kid. He said, "Is he all right?" Because he didn't know that he killed him.
Yeah.
He didn't stick him multiple times. He stuck him once.
So there's a different intent with it when we start looking at the psychological, the culpable mental state. P knows what I'm talking about when we talk about this from a law enforcement stand times. You know, his intent, and like you said, it wasn't malicious. It was more of leave me alone, get off me. Like Joy said, maybe he was being bullied or something of that regular.
And I think, if I'm not mistaken, he was there with his girl.
Yeah, I have no idea. I don't even know who he was with. I don't listen. We keep seeing prayers, and people next week, please keep me abreast of that. If you find out more, if you know, I try to put out a lot of information. I've been kind of bamboozled by this tariff thing, and we can talk about that.
Tariff. Let's talk about tariff real quick.
Yeah, the tariff thing. You know,
just real quick.
Hold on. Let me just shout out everybody watching in. Shout out to my dojo brother. I call him Dojo because we both started with the Goju family. Dwayne in the building. Shout out to everybody chiming in. I see a lot of people chiming in. I haven't been able to write you and say something. We're not going to be out there that long, but I appreciate you all watching in and chiming in. You know, and if anytime anybody ever wants to be a part of the conversation, all you have to do is ask. You're always welcome to join. This is a free fall. This is real talk. So if anybody is privy to this conversation. Let's talk about this tariff stuff. What's your take on how he trying to strong arm China and China's not having
it? This is the funny shit about this tariff shit, right? Now, all of these Trumpers and these people that are talking about, he needed to tax these countries like China and all that. Okay, in theory, it sounds good, right? Mm-hmm. But there's a difference between a tariff and an embargo.
Okay.
Right? Where you are literally stopping goods from coming in your country. Right? What we did to what is damn. That country, that little country down there near Florida.
Somebody help him out help me. So go ahead.
Cuba.
Uh-huh.
What we did to Cuba to this day, because we don't allow their goods here and nothing to come in there, They still driving around in 1950 cars. Right? Now, a tariff is when you are taxing goods coming into this country. You're putting a tax on the country that's sending it in, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the people that need it are here, right? So they're sending shit here. Trump's saying, okay, you got to give me, if you charging $100, I'm gonna put 25 on that. Making it seem like, oh, we getting 25 back from that 100. No, they're billing you for 125 now. So whatever that government tax is, they're not paying it. They're taxing whoever's purchasing that item. So now, if I got a restaurant and you got a bar restaurant, if the price of your liquor goes up and the price of your food goes up, how much of that cost are you going to eat?
Yeah.
It goes down to
the consumer.
The consumer.
Yeah.
I mean, you as a good patriot, a good businessman, you might say, okay, I'll eat some of that cost.
Yeah.
Right? But the consumer's going to have to eat some of it too. But at the end of the day, these are the constituents of the president who are eating the cost of the price he just put on China and claims that China is paying for it. China ain't eating none of that. None of those countries are going to eat none of that. Right? But you got now, I believe it's Canada, they're taking our shit off their shelf.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're a person that has a business here in the United States and you got customers in Canada, they saying we can't even take your shit no more. Yeah. So I just lost a customer.
Absolutely.
Right? Because you're making tariff wars for no reason.
Yep.
So I don't understand how people are saying, because what he's saying in theory about he wants companies to come back to the United States, right? And be producers now, right? To produce these products in this country. But what they did is all of these so-called rich white people, or not even white people, just rich people, period, right? That have these large companies like the Nikes and the Apples and all of them. All of their labor is done in China or in these third world countries where they don't have labor laws, where they can have children working 24 hours a day, right? Here in the United States, they got laws in place that says you cannot abuse workers like that.
Hold on, Rich. You got a little low. You were speaking loud. I don't know. You got a little low. There you go.
They have a laws here in this country where you can't abuse labor. You got to pay them a certain amount of money.
Thank you.
You have unions, right? And businesses don't want that because now they have to share profits with the people that are actually producing the merchandise.
Mm-hmm.
By raising their pay, by giving them benefits, time off, maternity leave, medical benefits.
Right.
In China and all these they ain't got to do that shit. So a sneaker like a Jordan over here to produce it might cost $200. Well, over there it's costing $12. But here they produce it there, bring it back here, and sell it like it cost them so much money. So the profit margin is huge. So now everybody thinks that these companies are going to come running back to the United States because if they do now, they got to pay people to do this shit.
Right.
Nobody's going to be in no sweatshop working no 24 hours a day to make a pair of Jordans or some Apple shit.
Yeah, let me interject for a second. Hold on, let me interject. They was talking to this farmer, and he was just talking about, he tried to hire some Americans to do he said they're lazy. The Mexicans and stuff were out there, they work out there a certain amount of hours, 12 hours, 15 hours, they ain't complaining. He said the Americans out there want to take breaks. They're talking about, I want to take lunch and this and that and the magnitude. There was another meme of a real, I don't know if I posted it, but they showed a bunch of obese Americans in the sweatshops sewing and talk about So listen, we as Americans, I don't care what your nationality is, you've been here 2 weeks too long, you're not doing all that
Hey,
manual
hey,
labor.
Bill, I'm gonna give you a better one. I'm
Go
gonna give
ahead.
you a better one.
Yes.
During slavery, they worked black folks so hard,
Hmm.
their ancestors are still tired.
Absolutely.
So when you
Absolutely.
look around and you see, you call some black folks, oh, lazy, they on welfare. Let me tell you something, brother. The way they worked us that our ancestors are tired.
You need to take a break. He said, what he said, she said, Canada is threatening to turn off the electricity in red states that support Trump. Wow.
Yo, and that's another thing. We get electricity from fucking Canada. And
Yeah.
you trying to pull, yo, how you gonna pull a gun out? I mean a knife out in a gunfight.
Yeah,
And if they
exactly.
turn those lights off, Wall Street lights are going out.
Absolutely. Like Joy said, Chappelle said, he said, I want to wear Nikes. I don't want to make them. You right about that. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, yo, you saw that Chappelle shit where he said that he went and got, he said, fuck that. He opened the room, the door in his room. He got some Chinese niggas in the room making Jordans.
He's a beast. He's a
He said
beast.
it's cheaper for him to do that.
Yeah,
Just hire a
yeah,
couple of Chinese motherfuckers, give them the material, make it in
yeah,
his room.
yeah. We got a few more minutes. I just want to ask people out there that's chiming in, what do you think about your history being erased? You know, like I was watching something, and we're going to bring back the tariffs next week because it's always a hot topic. But I see you, Albie. I see you in the building. But let's talk about the history. So, like, everybody's apologizing, when the Jackie Robinson thing happened, supposedly erasing him and stuff like that. But like I was watching Tim's, and they said to whoever the person was, they said, wait a minute. They said, you guys keep apologizing about erasing Black history, right? And you say, but what you putting DEI in the computer? But you must be putting DEI black people. You know what I'm saying? Or black or brown people. Because everything that's coming up equating to us is getting erased. You know what I'm trying to say? So I asked somebody that you and I know that we ain't been rocking with for a minute. I
Yeah,
mean,
we're not even gonna say their name no more. I'm not
yeah,
even gonna
that's
mention their name
exactly.
no.
Yeah, right.
I'm gonna talk about him like we talk about Trump. You don't even mention his name, you know.
So I asked
That
him.
guy, that guy. How
Yeah,
about that guy?
that dude. So I asked him, how do you feel about it today on one of my threads? If y'all go back on one of my posts, y'all can go back and read and y'all find out who I'm talking about. And he said, well, it's our responsibility to teach our people our own history. So I was wondering, I was going to follow up with him, but I said, you know what, like,
But I'm gonna tell you something, Bill.
yeah.
On that note,
Mm-hmm.
I agree with him, and I'm gonna tell
Okay,
you
but
why.
hold on, stay with me, stay with me. I didn't dispute that, but let me tell you something. We were all brought up learning everybody else's history. What I care. What? Let me tell you something. Let me find out. You and I, we all around the same age, and everybody out there. What the Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria doing for my black ass right now? You know what I'm saying? Ain't nothing. What I learned about Christopher Columbus in school is not what I learned about him on my own. You understand what I'm saying? The only people in school that we learned about was Frederick Douglass, Malcolm X, and Malcolm X was by kind of default, and Martin Luther King and Harriet Tubman. Anybody else? And Jackie Robinson got a plug in there, right? Anybody else? We didn't learn about Nat Turner and anybody else, all those people. So what I'm saying when I say that, and my point of saying this is, we've learned about so many other histories, and nobody taught us about our own. So the fact that our history is out there, if I don't talk to my grandmother or grandfather, which are deceased, my parents are deceased. If I don't do the research myself or talk to a person of history, like I'll sit down and chop it up with my aunt, or all my ancestors, the matriarchs and patriarchs of my family are deceased. that actually may have lived that. You know what I'm saying? Like I have an uncle that got a Congressional Medal of Honor for being one of the first Black Marines. You know what I'm saying? And I only know that because he was alive to tell me. And Barack Obama gave him Congressional Medal of Honor while he was laying in his damn deathbed at 90 some years old. You see what I'm trying to say? So I get all that about learning our history, and we need to teach our history. Like I got a daughter that lives in Florida. If she don't know her history, her and her husband, they're trying to have children. If they don't know their history, it's left because DeSantis ain't popping it off. I yield back to you. Go ahead, brother.
But yeah, on that note about this government trying to erase our history, they're not just erasing our history, they're erasing their own, because history is history. And they're not telling the truth about a lot of shit pertaining to themselves, and they don't want us to tell the truth about them. I saw this thing where a guy said to somebody that was lying on him, he said, "Yo, man, you need to stop lying on me." He said, I tell you what, if you stop lying on me, I'll stop telling the truth about you.
Bang. Bang.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's really what it boiled down to. He was telling the truth about him. He was lying on him to dismiss the truth, right? But anyway, a lot of the stuff that was even taught to us in school about our culture, the little bit that they did give us, it was always limited, and it was only given to us in a fashion that was suitable to the palate of white people. Right?
And hold on, let me just piggyback, and I'm gonna yield right back to you. It's like telling a story, and the story starts from 1 to 10, and they told us from 4 to 10, because the bottom line is we didn't start off slaves. We started off kings and queens. When we picked up the history book, we was in bondage already. I yield back. Go ahead, Rich.
Exactly. Now, when you hear this whole conversation about the Jewish community, they don't leave it to nobody to tell their story. They tell their story.
Right.
They give it to us to regurgitate that same story, right? They don't let somebody else control their history,
their narrative.
They spin it any way they want to spin it, right? And as far as we're concerned, that's what we need to do. We need to take our history back into our own hands and give it to our people so we can really know what's going on.
I agree with that. Now, don't get me wrong. When he said I wasn't disputing it. I was just perturbed by the fact of it is, like, you so busy holding Trump's job that you just want to say, yo, it's our job to teach our kids. So the bottom line is, now, and see, this is where I put somebody to the carpet. If I sit down and ask your son a bunch of questions, your sons a bunch of questions about Black history, and if they don't know it, then you need to shut the F up. Everybody, this is Real Talk Chronicles. I'm your host, Bill Forster. That's Richard Williams. Hold on, I just want to read some comments, and I'll give it right back to you. Joy said, it's awful that they can try to erase us. Let me put my glasses on. I'm playing myself. They're trying to erase us. That's all they want, but we're not going anywhere. Absolutely. We have contributed more to this country than anybody. Absolutely. Let me read some more comments and questions. Everybody, I appreciate you all chiming in. Tony said, she said, our history needs to remain in books and statues and buildings and museums. Make it stay. Absolutely. Brenda said it was whitewashed. Absolutely. P said, yep, next week we need to discuss why they want to erase us, because white people are being diluted. Yep, absolutely. We'll do it. And like I was saying, everybody, please just tell me what you want to talk about. Rich and I, we just chop it up as much as we can. The Jews have their own schools. Yes, sir. Yes, they do, Brenda. Unfortunately for the Jewish people, they have footage. Yes. Joyce said, yeah. They're also trying to erase history so future generations won't know how horrible they were to Black people. Absolutely. Because what do they always say? That was the past. I didn't do it. Let it go. Shut up. While punching your mouth. Let me stop. I'm just playing, film footage. I know what you meant. Everybody, this is Real Talk Chronicles. I'm your host, Bill Forster. That's Richard Williams, my co-host. We are chopping it up. We having real talk. We apologize for the break in between. Sometimes things come up but we just want to be able to sit down and converse with you and give you the best conversation that we can give you in the time that we have. Please, you all know how to reach me. If you don't, you know how you can try to reach Rich. If you're not, whoever's Facebook friend you are, share it, like it. If you're not on YouTube, go to YouTube and subscribe to it. Keep the content coming. Let me tell you something. You all know I can throw a party with better than anybody damn near in this world, or just as good as anybody. But the one thing is, this is the part of me that I want to give you some thought provocative energy, and I bring my brother in with me and my other brothers, and we sit down and we chop it up and converse with you. So like it, subscribe to it. Rich, go ahead, brother. Finish some. Give me some.
But yeah, I think we need to focus more on us sharing our own history and controlling
Absolutely.
our own narrative of what our history is. And quite honestly, I think you might want to consider doing a show one week, at least once a month, that's geared just totally about talking about our history
I
and
have no
talking
problem.
about the things that,
Yeah.
you know, a lot of us don't even know. I mean, I learn things every day about people that I thought I knew about. Like, I'm gonna give you one I learned today. George Washington Carver, right? Everybody knows him as the peanut guy, you know,
Mm-hmm.
that he was a scientist that created, you know, this whole thing about how to take peanuts and grow them into the ground one season, and then the next season grow cotton so it keeps the ground still rich enough to grow the cotton, right? But
Mm-hmm.
this guy was an amazing scientist, and this is what I didn't know about him, and I learned this today, right? That he was adopted by a white family, right? When he was a child, as a
Mm-hmm.
slave. He was a slave when he was adopted. And right after that, you know, slavery was over. His mother and his father died. White family adopts him. They raise him in an environment where there are literally no other black people around. So he's living in the White House, going to school with white kids. He goes to I believe it's Tuskegee for college, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he was a tremendous scientist. But while and I did the back research on this when the statement was made by Dick Gregory, right? That when he was a child and adopted by this white family, that they castrated him
Mm.
for fear that he would try to have sex with some of the white children,
Mm.
right? And then they showed footage of him actually speaking in his natural voice, and he spoke in a high pitched voice like a female, and that he would let people believe that he was gay for shame of the fact that his testicles was cut off,
Wow.
right? And this man was also instrumental in the person that actually created the first automobile and gave it to Henry Ford. Henry Ford would visit him while he was in college, and he would give him different ideas and patents that they would use.
Well, you know what's so funny? If anybody out there, or Rich, I'll ask you because you
I,
know.
I sent you the link.
No, what I'm saying is, if anybody out there has a historian that they feel that can articulate and come on and converse with us and give us knowledge about our history, like Rich just gave us a segment of that, please reach out to me or Rich or whomever, and so we can connect with that person, and I'll give them a once a month show, you know, a slot, so they can just
Yeah,
come.
I'm going to definitely look into that bill to see if I can get somebody that speaks to uh, African American studies and things like that.
Yeah,
You know, a
absolutely.
lot of people, we only talk about Black Wall Street as only being one instance where that happened, but it was going on all over this country where we came out of slavery and during Reconstruction and were able to build and create these towns and cities and
Mm-hmm.
businesses and all of this. And white folks just took it.
Yeah, like
They
Tony was
just
saying,
totally
she said she was
destroyed it.
patents stolen from him. She was co-signing what she was saying. Yeah, you know.
Yeah. So it's not that we can't do these things or we're not able to do these things or we don't want to do these things. There are machines and mechanisms and policies in place to prevent us from doing these things. I mean, just
Absolutely.
think about it. If If segregation came back today, say this president said, you know what? All the black people, y'all got to be over here, and the white people got to be over here. This is white only, black only, right? What is that going to mean to us today? So if black only means that Major League Baseball players can only play with themselves, that means the Negro League's going to come back. There's going to be an NBA league just for black people. There's going to be hospitals just for black people. There are going to be schools just for black people, right?
Well, let me just say this.
Do you know the genius that we have as people? Every time they tell us they want to get away from us and they try to push us away, they just come follow us right back wherever they pushed us to.
Well, but let me just say this, and this is a topic I want to get off. I don't want to go into that. That's a good topic, and we can say that for next week. But just to piggyback off what you're saying, baseball would still go on without us. Hockey would still go on without us. Football would be extinct because the white guys would want to play with us. You know what I'm saying? And basketball would be extinct for them because they would want to play with us because that's where the best players in the world.
But that's exactly my point.
Yeah. So the bottom line is, we as people, we always want to. We right now, I'm sure we're in a part of. Some of us want to go where we're not supposed, where we're not wanted. And I just had a situation recently. Malika and I, with a couple that were named won't name, went to a cigar lounge, and when we went in, it was recommended to us. And when we went in, guy said it's $10 cover. We said okay, no problem. So we thought that was for the cigar or the entry. So he's like, okay. Then as we were sitting there about to purchase some cigars, he says, well, wait a minute, we got a band tonight. Now you got to pay a $25 cover on that too. I say, yeah, my God, we not doing all that. So we left. As we're standing outside trying to calculate our next moves, we see a guy walking in there with beer and a t-shirt and a six-pack. So we was like, no, he's not. He's not. We know he's not going in there. And lo and behold, he goes in there, right? So one of our people was like, I want to go in and confront that, right? I said, let's not, because I'm about the rah-rah, but what am I doing if I'm not trying to go there? You know what I'm saying? If I ain't trying to fight to stay in that spot, to go to that spot, because bottom line is, I don't ever have to go back there again. But the bottom line is, it still happens to this day. This is recent. This is less than a month that I'm talking about this, right? So,
but Bill, it's your choice, though. They wasn't going to beat your ass for coming in there.
Oh no, hell no!
This is what I'm talking about. This is the difference. We were getting our ass beat for integration, to be able to sit in the same room, to be able to go to the same school, to be able to eat at the same counter. I'm going to sit there and get spat on and cursed at and possibly lynched to eat some food that don't even taste as good as black people food.
Yeah.
I'm going to force you to take my money. Come on. I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
All of these, everybody survives off the economy of black folks.
Yeah.
We are targeted as consumers only.
Yeah.
So if we take that and we start being that to ourselves, do you know how much money we could generate as a people? But they're not going to let that happen.
Yeah.
They got to release that valve that's putting pressure on us. They only going to put for so much pressure.
Yeah.
And when it gets too much, they say, let's let that shit out. Let it out.
A little bit of air out. Let a little bit of air.
Let's let a rich brother out. Let's let a rich sister out. Let's point out that black person that's able to be a part of this thing we call America.
It's like that thing you sent me about the donkey today.
Exactly.
Yeah. And with that being said, everybody, this is Real Talk Chronicles. I'm your host, Bill Forster. That's Richard Williams. Please like it, subscribe to it. What we always do at the end of the show, no matter if it's 10 of us or just one of us or two of us, we end with some positive affirmation. Please look for us next week. I'm gonna try to have something on Monday. If I don't, it's because I want to bring you the best content. Please let me extend my condolences to my boy's family. Rest in peace, Bruce Boyd. He was a correction officer. It was in the news not too long ago. He got shot, was suffering from mental illness. So please check on somebody. If you know somebody, a lot of times you never know who's going through something because we are from that era, depending on your age, we hold a lot of things. And even when somebody asks you if you're all right, a lot of us don't divulge what we're really going through. I had somebody ask me the other day, you good? And I was kind of flustered over my taxes and stuff like that. And then I said to them, well, you know what? If the stress, the most stress I got right now is getting my taxes done before the 12 o'clock hour, then I'm good. You know what I'm trying to say? But in life, you got to know what your limitations are. Got to know what you can deal with and what you can't. But certain things ain't that serious. So I say all that to say, my positive affirmation to you is, please try to be that duck and let that water trickle off your back. Talk to somebody if you're stressing out about something. If you know somebody that's suffering from something, tell their family member to check on them or do something. And I don't ask anybody to put a whole bunch of responsibility on your shoulders because everybody has their own families and stuff like that. But we need to check in on each other. Social media has taken away that personal interaction with picking up a phone and call. The one thing I always have to give my man Rich his props on that. He'll pick up the phone and call. We'll talk on the phone and chop it up in regards to a lot of things and stuff like that. So I give him his props. Like a lot of friends, childhood friends, I think the only people that I do speak to on a regular is if it ain't Mark or Malika and maybe one or two of my childhood friends. Otherwise than that, everything is via text or inboxes or somebody wants something. So just like the moral of my story is just reach out and check to somebody. You know what I'm saying? Like just reach out and check to somebody that you love or care. You can't reach out to everybody, but shit, just check on somebody, love somebody. Condolences to the Bruce Boyd family. Rest in peace, big soldier. Rich, give us some positive affirmation.
Yeah, man. Hey, check the dog, man. The dog might find out somebody outside your house, man.
Malika know where them things at. Yeah, listen, she the first, for the dog's the first line of defense. And she the second line. If I come down there, it's over. It's everybody on the news. If they don't want me to come downstairs, they better stop them dogs and her before I come downstairs. Because once I log off and I say what's going on, I'm coming down there hot. Good.
Hey man, hey listen, man. Life is it's not a destination, it's a journey.
Yeah.
Right? So in saying that, take care of your character and your reputation will take care of itself.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna end on that note.
Everybody, we appreciate you. Thank you, Rich. Always appreciate you. Shout out to everybody that's watching. I saw so many people. I didn't get a chance to write in tonight because Rich and I were just chopping it up. But I see you. Audrey's, the Terrence Lanes, the Joes, the and shout out to Shauna's and Earl. He was here. He's watching.
Oh.
Albies, my peoples and stuff like that. Just shout out everybody. Dee, I see you in the building. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate you. Without you, there is no us. Tanita, what's going on? I see you in the building.
Don't forget to shout out our boy Chuck on his birthday.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's right. Everybody that, part of our panel, Chuck, he had a birthday recently. Give him a shout out if you can.
Kev is feeling under the weather.
Yeah, Kev is under the weather.
Yeah, he's not feeling all this Trump stuff happening, He's a little sick behind it.
Yeah, Ty had a little emergency they had to take care of tonight. Shout out to the people. And listen, please, any ladies that you want to be a part of the panel, Come on in. Like this is not just a man dominated show. Shout out to you, Stefania, for always being behind the scenes, rocking with us. You and Vera Foster with the wonderful last name. Brenda, you too. And Pete, thank you for coming along, rocking with us. And happy belated birthday to you, sis. I guess all the Aries in the building. Shout out to my brother Albie. You know what I'm saying? Darren Joseph, of course, Mark Clay. I saw you in the building. Tony, thank you for rocking with us tonight. We appreciate you so much. Moya, it was good having you with you. Pearly, it was good to watch all of you guys come. Kevin, what's going on? Everybody. So I just wanted to give love and flowers. The humility in me wants to bestow that on all of you. If you like it, share the content. Even if you don't share it, go to YouTube and just subscribe to Real Talk Chronicles so we can keep going. Gives me more inspiration. If one person watch it, I'll stay on this joint to the cops come knocking, and they don't want to knock on my door. How about that, Johnny Knight? Everybody, good night. We out. Let's go, Rich.
Peace.
Peace.